Mr. Rajko Grlic. He is officially here, has been invited to conduct a masterclass in writing and direction, which was on the 21st of November. And his film, The Constitution, which was presented in the Masterstrokes section, was also screened, has been screened, and I hope some of you got a chance to watch the film. Mr. Grlic is an eminent teacher, scholar in the Ohio University, Athens in the United States. He has been nominated for the Cannes Palme d'Or for his film Bravo Maestro in 1978. He's won the Golden Arena for the Best Director for the film In the Jaws of Life in 1984. He's also been nominated for the San Sebastian Golden Shell for his film The Border Post in 2006. It's a great honor and a privilege for IFFI to host him. And I welcome you, sir. And I request you to make an opening statement before we open the floor for question and answers.
My name is Rajko Grlic. I'm coming from Croatia. The small country used to be part of Yugoslavia. Maybe you remember such a country. I made 12 feature films. This is number 12. It's a brand new film. We opened the film 2 months ago in Montreal. We got the Grand Prix of Montreal, which is like the only A category festival in Northern America. Film is now playing in 8 countries in Europe. In some are first on the box office, so it's going quite well. What else to say? I'm 70 years old, and maybe that's the last one. But I said for last 3 that that's the last one, so this is the 3rd last film which I made. That's for the beginning. And I was very happy today when I saw reaction in this overcrowded screening room. I was really happy to hear that they were laughing, smiling, crying at the same time.
We'd love to know about your film, sir, because everybody has not watched.
That's shame. No, it's a film. It's a love story about the hate. It's 4 people living in one building in the center of city of Zagreb, don't like each other like people usually don't like each other in many buildings. They are not talking to each other, they have prejudice about each other. And when they were forced by accident to start to communicate, they start little by little to discover that behind those images and cliches we build about people around us, that exist human beings. It's a story at the same time about Serbs and Croats who don't like each other for a few centuries, but they're still living together, they still share the same language. And Croats and Serbs are not just living in Croatia, they are living all over the world. They just have a different name and different religions, but people intolerance is rising on daily basis all over the world, especially in Europe. Now it will start in America too. So that's the film about that maybe we can talk to each other, if it's possible, before we fight each other.
Can we start with the questions, sir? Sorry. What are your views on Indian films?
I don't know nothing about. I am from time to time watch some films. I used to run for 10 years and select films for one festival in Croatia, and then I watch some Indian film at a time. I know some classics, but you're interested in what recently I saw. I don't remember the names. I don't know a lot about. I'm really deeply sorry.
Hi, sir. This is Faizan from Delhi. First of all, welcome to India.
Thank you.
Just want to know, like, before the movie was screened, what were your expectations from the audience? And now the movie has been screened, like, how did you like the review of the audience? Thank you.
This is the second time that first time was screened in Canada, in Montreal, when film was open. And I'm never watching my film with audience, so I never watch my films. I finish the film, in the big screen, I put the film on, I close the doors and watch alone, and I try to remember film on such a way, just for myself, not under the influence of people laughing or crying or doing whatever they are doing. I found out that if you are very local, if you put your film really deeply in location, in mentality, in all those elements, that then film can be easily understood all over the world. Only locally can be internationally somehow accept. So this is a very local, small story, and what I learned in Canada, what I learned in Europe now, I'm coming from all those premieres all over, is that basically all over people are reading the film on the same way. So what I was expecting today, first that someone will come, and they did this in huge number. I didn't expect that. And what I expect and what I heard after, and hundreds of people came after, I was really surprised. They said that they were crying, they were laughing at the same time, and they jump in one emotion to another, and that's how this story takes them in this hour-and-a-half journey. So yes, thank you, India, for understanding. That's all what I can say. I think that you have the same problems as everyone around the world. You maybe even more. So.
Very warm welcome to India, Mr. Grlic. I want to ask you that you have been making films, and in your part of like in the Balkans, we have seen conflict for a long time, as you were saying. So according to you, what difference have your films in particular have made in the mindsets of the people, if any? Have you observed any change in the mindsets away from which would take them away from the conflict and help them to live together in peace?
I don't believe that films can change something. I don't think that films can change society, or films are stories. They are communicating on emotional level, not on informational level. So if you manage to communicate with someone, you just can remind him that maybe some good elements in him or her exist, and maybe sometimes they can remind themselves on the film and say, maybe I don't react on such a way. Maybe it's better to react on this way, or I don't need to hate everyone around myself. So that was the film about. It was just, let's try to stop for a second, freeze your frustrations, and let's see if you can talk to the nearest person. And if few people did this after the film, that's a huge success for the film. But I have some kind of feeling that films really communicate on all the critics, all the social medias and so on are telling me that this time we made something which is touching people, and that maybe something will happen. You never know. In few persons around the world, which is more than enough for one film, I think. Yeah, I hope so. That's why you are making films. You are making films to communicate with someone. You are making films for the big screen, not for the small screen. When someone is eating and watching, you want someone to spend hour and a half to really concentrate and see if someone can find on the screen someone close to him.
Hello, Mr. Garlic. My name is Hussain.
I'm not garlic, I'm Grlic. Sorry.
Okay. My question is to you. There are two kinds of cinema. One is parallel and the other is commercial. What is your view on the both kind of cinema, and how the new cinema, which is the digital cinema, which we call the internet age, how it's differ? What is your view on it?
I don't believe that exists 2, 3 or whatever number cinemas. I think that each of us who are making film, from schoolboy who is making on iPhone until big, huge budget films in Hollywood, everyone is trying to tell the story. It's just the question where we want to go with the story, how we want and why we are making these stories. I tried my life, and that's why I'm making film, or I believe that that's the reason. I need to have really reason to make some film. It's not just to spend some time or to earn some money. You want to say something, you want to leave some little sign on the path where you are passing. So my films are films who are connected with social environments, who are connected with politics, who are dealing with everyday life of my characters. They are not just entertaining. But at the same time, I was born enough early to believe that film needs the audience, otherwise it doesn't exist. I don't believe in so-called heavy art film just for festivals. I think that's the waste of time and energy. I think that if I spend 3 years making a film, I would like to communicate. I like to see crowd in the dark room. So it's hard to say that my films are commercials. I was often in my country, in ex-Yugoslavia and then in Croatia, first on the box office. There I am considered like commercial director who is doing serious films. And I think that you can put those two things. But when you're making films in such a small language, you know, Croatian is a language which 3 nations are speaking all together, 10 million people or 12 million people. So it's such a small language. It's hard to be commercial all over the world. But my last film, which I did 5 years ago or 4, was distributed in 41 countries in theaters. It plays in São Paulo, in some small, probably extremely small theater. I was there more than 6 months. So if you make from small country film, which can play a little bit around the world, you did something. We are not comparing ourselves with the big budget films who are trying to attract all over the world, and they have a price for this, so they need to be differently done and so on and so on. But this is, I think that everyone is telling the story, to make long story short.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grlic. I'm from All India Radio, Goa. The name of the movie that you're screening here is The Constitution. And when I read the synopsis, and I haven't yet watched the movie, and I hope I will get a chance to, which is why I think we're asking for repeat screenings. What is the inspiration or the connect between the name of the movie, The Constitution, and the content of the movie?
I found out that in Croatia, every policeman needs to pass exam in Constitution. That's one of the rules of their duty. So one of character in the film is policeman, and he has some problem with learning. I don't want to tell you the whole story of the film, but someone else needs to help him, and the other guy is a heavy nationalist, and it's heavy Croat nationalist, and the policeman is a Serb. And they were forced to help each other for other reasons. So Constitution, which is fantastic book, it's probably every constitution in the world. I read for the first time then Constitution and found out that Constitution is very poetic book. Constitution wants everyone to feel good, everyone will be protected, everyone has rights. If we live what Constitution thinks that will live, will be live in paradise. It will be fantastic. It will be very boring society, but it will be great. So we found easily that between our constitution, as probably between your constitution and your life, it's a huge gap. And we try to find out how people are living in this gap, what and how they are surviving, and why this constitution have no influence in their everyday life. That's why the Croatian name is, the full name is Croatian Constitution. Sales agent for the world were scared that Croatian Constitution is not commercial enough, so they name it Constitution.
Any more questions, friends? Then I would like to thank you.
Thank you very
It was a
much.
pleasure. It was an honor.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you all.
Wow. Thank you very much. May I have this or you need me to sign?